Good evening and welcome to the Space News Network. I am your host, Tom Thompson. In tonight's report, State Premier Mark McGowan has locked down the Perth metropolitan area for another 5 days following a recent outbreak of the Koof Koof. We here at the Space News Network understand that lockdown can at times feel like staring at the sun. So we have taken the proactive measures of hiring someone to do that for you. We now pass live to the field with reporter Space Jesus. Over to you, Jesus.
Thank you, Tom. This is a bit shit. Cue the montage.
The sun, giver of life to this pale blue dot that we call home. Most astronomers hate the sun. Everybody knows astronomers do it better in the dark. The sun is cool as hell. Well, not in the literal sense, being a big fuck-off ball of nuclear fusion and all, but the sun does a lot of great things for us. It helps plants grow, it's been worshipped as a god, provides us electricity. Hell, it'll even help your bronzy cheeks for a few more Insta followers. Now, as much as the sun does for us, we were always told as kids never to look at it, lest we want to be Stevie Wonder cosplayers for the rest of our life. But somewhere along the way, someone said, "Nay, I shall gaze upon this sky ball and its forbidden flame." Most of these people went blind. Big fucking surprise. There had been no systematic observations of the sun until the invention of the first telescope. The first observations were done by Italian astronomer Galileo Galilei and German mathematician Christoph Scheiner. Now, as wrinkly as Galileo's brain was, he was unbeknownst to the dangers of looking at the sun through his telescope. But by some fucking miracle, he managed to avoid permanent eye injury, and his blindness later in life is thought to be due to completely unrelated reasons. Through his observations, he noticed that there were these strange little black markings on the surface of the sun. These are sunspots. We can easily view them using something known as a white light solar filter. This filter, bearing a resemblance to mylar, blocks out about 99% of the light coming from the sun and allows us to see the solar disk. If we're lucky, we can sometimes spot a few sunspots. Do not use mylar to look at the sun. Sunspots are pretty cool, and I mean that in the literal sense this time. The photosphere of the sun sits at around 5,500 degrees Celsius. Comparatively, sunspots are only around 3,900 degrees Celsius. It's part of the reason that they appear as these dark spots. They are cooler than the rest of the plasma that surrounds them. The other part of the reason is that the gas in these areas is only emitting about a quarter of the light as the rest of the disk. These dark spots are produced by instances of extreme magnetism caused by the sun's rotating body.
Water, fire, air, and dirt. Fucking magnets, how do they work?
While sunspots may appear quite small relative to the rest of the solar disk, they are routinely much bigger than Earth. The largest that we've ever recorded was 13 times as big as our planet. Now, there's much more than sunspots that the budding solar astronomer can look at, but we're gonna have to change up our gear a little bit. This is a hydrogen alpha telescope, more specifically, the Coronado SolarMax 2 60mm. In contrast to the white light filter, this telescope blocks out all light by a very specific wavelength, 653.3 nanometers to be exact. This is the hydrogen alpha line. It lies within inside of the visual spectrum and has a very red-orangey hue to it. With this telescope, we can see detail in the sun's chromosphere and even large prominence erupting from the solar limb, or the edge of the disk. We can even tune this telescope by using the contrast shift to adjust to different features on the solar surface. On some of the more specialized solar telescopes, we can even adjust for the Doppler shift in the light using special pressurized tuners, or what I would give for a look. Well, now we know how to look at the sun safely, let's get a better understanding of what the fuck we're actually looking at. Remember how I said that the white light filter allowed us to see the sun's photosphere, and the hydrogen alpha scope led to see the sun's chromosphere? This is a cross-section of the sun. Much like the Earth, the sun has different layers. Here we've got the crust, mantle, inner and outer cores, but the sun has all of these as well. So let's start at the outside and slowly work our way in. The outermost layer of the sun is known as the corona, or crown in Latin. We can only see this layer during a total solar eclipse, as the moon covers up the entirety of the solar disk. The next layer is the chromosphere, chroma being Latin for colour. Below that we find the photosphere, photo being Latin for light. Going even deeper, we reach the convection zone, where all of that hot plasma is churning around in large convection currents. Now for my favourite part, the radiative zone. This is where the bulk of the sun's photons can be found. In fact, these photons are so densely packed together that on average it'll take a single one of them 27,000 years to leave the radiative zone and exit from the solar surface. This is due to the fact that these photons are so tightly packed that it's like a pinball machine in there. You're either hoping for the chance that someone knocks you out, or you can wiggle your way through and not be pushed back in by all of the other photons. Finally, we have the hottest part of the sun, the inner core. Now I know, a lot of astronomers hate the sun. Can't do a lot of observing with that big bastard up there. Fuck off, radio astronomers. I see you over in the corner there laughing, you little shits. Your video is coming soon. Stay tuned. Well, perhaps after watching this you figure, maybe I'm a lights on kind of guy. Now is as better time as ever to get into it. We're just coming out of the end of a solar minimum and the sun is changing every single day. So what are you waiting for? Go and sell your kidney and get yourself a solar scope. The obligatory happy snap.
Side note, this isn't actually my telescope, I'm borrowing it from work.
And as always, cheers, stay safe, and clear skies.